G'day everyone, it's Saxon here again from Year 13, and I've got our final speaker for day 2 of our Future of Work Expo. I've got Fiona McDonald, who's the CEO of Tradeswomen Australia. And Fiona, we have the privilege of actually having Fiona speaking tonight on behalf of one of our group training partners and a company we've worked with for a long time, VERTO. A lot of you would have heard today here from Diane from the National Apprenticeship Employment Network about group training organisations. And we've been incredibly lucky over the past 5 years to be working with VERTO, not just with placing young people into apprenticeships and traineeships and employment opportunities, but also doing a plethora of research around a lot of these stigmas, a lot of the opportunities, a lot of the changes within industry. So really thankful for VERTO to be able to make the introduction to you, Fiona, and for you to be here this evening.
Thanks so much for having me, Saxon. I really appreciate it. And I'm really honoured to be here representing VERTO. They're a partner for us and a strong advocate for women in trades as well.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you. So just to give some context to your background. So during Fiona did a light vehicle apprenticeship, way back when, to be able to, throw herself as a young female into doing a trade. Fiona identified that there was a real lack of promotion and opportunity for women in the trades industries. She's keen to see a change within young women within trades and within these networks and be able to build relationships and partnerships with businesses and industries so we can actually have a lot more young females participating in trades and vocational education. And what's really interesting about Fiona's profile is the transfer of those skills from being a light vehicle apprentice to now being a CEO of Tradeswomen Australia. So it's a phenomenal story, and I'm really excited to hear it. But Fiona, it's a question we ask everyone. We ask all our staff when they come in for their first job interview through to all our webinar attendees. What was school like for you and the finishing school, and how did that help you with the transition into becoming the person you are today?
Gosh, so I have quite a lengthy story, so I hope you don't mind.
Please, take the mic.
Well, I guess in high school, I felt a little bit disengaged from school. It wasn't something that came naturally to me. I'm a bit of a crammer and I would like to cram things in. And I did that during BCE as well in my exams. So to me, school, I wasn't interested. It wasn't the way I learned. It wasn't something that I felt passionate about. And leaving school and entering the world of establishing a career was quite shocking for me. I never felt that I was truly prepared for that. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. So for me, I went on a bit of a journey. My first year after school, I think I just worked full time, did a little bit of traveling to try and work out exactly what I wanted to do. I felt this huge pressure to pick something, and whatever I picked, I was going to have to stick to it for the rest of my life. So I really wanted to make sure that I picked something that was suitable. So I went and spoke with a career advisor, and I paid to go see this person. And I said, you know what, I really want to work in the building construction industry. I love doing things, building things with my hands. My passion projects I do at home, where I'll attempt to build at the time furniture, and it's something I would love to pursue. And they kind of typed away on the keyboard and came back with a solution. They said, you should go to university and you should study interior design. And not knowing much about the industry, I kind of questioned why I would go into interior design. They said, well, it'll be a roundabout way of getting into trades for women, and you'll get the opportunity to learn about how construction works and reading plans. So off I went to uni to start my interior design course with the dream of being a builder, and very quickly realised it wasn't taking me in the right direction and the right path. So I kind of was in the process of reevaluating where I was going to go with my career, knowing that, this course wasn't where my passion lied and it wasn't the right direction. And I actually had a part-time job at a cafe been working in hospitality since my working age life was possible. But yeah, I had this part-time job in hospitality, and all these mechanics would always come in. And one day, one of the mechanics came in, struck up a conversation with me and asked if I knew any males that might be interested in an apprenticeship. And I was just frothing his coffee and chatting away, and I kind of thought about it, and I was like, I'm going to take a shot. And I asked him, would you consider hiring a woman? And he just looked at me a little bit shocked, but said, sure, I suppose so. And that was it. That he left the business, and I just kept away working. And I thought about it over the day, and I thought, you know what, that's something I really, really want to give a try. Like, I'd love to do mechanics. I'm interested in my car. I don't know anything about the tools involved or anything on how to fix a car, but I'm willing to give it a go. It could be something I'm interested and passionate about, and it could be this lifelong career that I have to decide on. So I kind of went away, did some research, and printed off a resume and went into the workshop and handed it in. And at the time, it took a lot of confidence to go do that. I had no idea what I was doing, no idea what I was talking about. I didn't know what an apprenticeship was per se. I'd never been educated about the apprenticeship system before. So it was all new to me, and it took a lot of guts, and I couldn't do it alone. I took a family member with me to go do it. And I had an interview the next day, and they brought me in for a 2-week trial. And, it just completely changed my life, that 2 weeks. Like, it just brought me it opened my eyes to so many new things that I'd never thought about in a career. And I learned so much. I carried a little notebook around with me. I asked questions about absolutely everything I could ask questions about. I would go home and watch YouTube clips, and, if my friends came round, I'd ask them if I could, check their oil for them, or, look at something that might be broken on their car. And I remember my housemate coming home one day, and I'd taken my door off my car just because I wanted to see how it was done. So, like, I would just, play around with this new passion of mine, and from there it fostered. And I didn't know it at the time, but when I was doing my trial, I was up against 3 other male apprentices for the same job, and they kind of just were playing us off against each other, I suppose, and I didn't pick up on it. And at the end of the 2 weeks, the boss pulled me aside and said, Fiona, you've got the job. These guys aren't going to cut it. You're here for the right reasons. You're passionate. And believe it or not, we didn't think you would make the 2 weeks, but we really enjoyed working with you. And from there, I stuck it out. I continued through my apprenticeship. I made amazing friends at trade school, and I made amazing mentors in the industry as well. And I absolutely loved it. And once I became qualified, I stayed in the trade industry for a little bit longer. I decided to pursue that building construction passion that I always had, and I transitioned to a type of mechanical job where I could be on building construction sites. So I fixed a lot of heavy generators and heavy equipment, and would travel out to all kinds of building construction sites and work in the workshop as well, fixing all kinds of machinery and tools, anything you can imagine. And again, that was just really joyous for me. But during my whole career, I only ever met one other female mechanic, and it just broke my heart. Like, I really, thought it was sad that women weren't giving these career options. We're being told to go off to university and study interior design, where this whole industry of amazing trade opportunities. And here in Australia, we have 65 different trades listed on our national skills needs list, where we really, really, really need workers, and we don't have enough people coming through. And out of all those industries, women only make up 2% of those trades. So, but me, I just felt so passionately about, getting more women into the workforce. And I started going out and doing career presentations. I built a little tradie lady network, so I would catch up with a couple of friends I had in building and plumbing and carpentry, and we all just go along so well. It was a really great support network for us, and to bounce off each other and talk about some of the things that we were experiencing on the work site. So, that passion and that drive really made me think, what am I going to do about this? And I decided to bring along all my resilience through working in the industry to make a difference and do something and step up and have a go. And that's when I founded Tradeswomen Australia Foundation. And it took a little while to get the business established, to find the right people to support and mentor me and guide me. I was going from a blue collar role to a white collar role and running a business and being a CEO, which is a huge change. And so much learning comes along with it. And I was just really lucky to find the right people to guide and support me, who were really willing to give back, who saw that I really cared about this and was resilient and passionate about this, and I was not going to stop. So, they took a lot of time out of their day to support me. And in that, I've managed to find an incredible board of directors who are absolutely amazing and committed men and women to the cause of increasing women in trades. We have a wonderful chairperson who, James Clark, just guides me and has taught me so much about being a CEO. And we've now got a wonderful patron, Susan Alberti AC. So she is absolutely an incredible woman, and I encourage you to go learn about her story if you have not already. And then I just started building out relationships with key stakeholders and bringing in a lot of people into my network. And by doing that, we really started building our brand and building our impact. And, we have KPIs and goals around growing women in the industry, getting more women from school into trades. And once they're in trades, for us, it's really important that we keep them there. Nationally, more than 50% of apprentices actually don't complete their apprenticeships. And with the number of women entering trades, it's really important for us that women stay within the industry. So we run a number of programs to support women when they're in the trade, and a number of programs to help women get into the trade. But there's so much more work to be done, and we're a small organisation that's growing, and we really appreciate just the support of volunteers and the support of organisations like VERTO and U13 to give us a platform and an opportunity to talk about the amazing, incredible things that we're up to.
Well, I think that as a story, without a doubt, for the whole future of work, has been the best opening I've heard. You're an icon. I honestly, the whole time I was so compelled by everything that you were saying there. Like, firstly, congratulations on everything that you've achieved. I think it really is a story that should be shared, but I think it's also something which is just so welcoming and so wildly misinterpreted about the vocational sector and trades and what they teach you. And I think to be able to hear your analogy of being able to be in the trades and see that there was only one other engineer, female engineer, and to be able to create tradie ladies, something that I really advocate is the idea that vocational education and trades really creates, it's quite entrepreneurial. It allows you to look at problems in a very different way. It allows you to actually create solutions. And I want to touch on, you said that you went from a blue collar role to a white collar role, and it's something that we've been promoting this week in a campaign that we're really running with, that it's actually about not a white collar job or blue collar job, it's the new collar of worker. If you think about a Venn diagram, and it's that inception point now where traditional trades and those industries are going through a lot of evolution and revolution, and it's impacting white collar industries, but white collar industries are really leading these technological advancements. What skills would you say you've taken from your apprenticeship into now being the CEO and a founder of Tradeswomen, and what are some of those innate skills you've been able to transfer across?
That's a really good question. So much of my apprenticeship has transitioned into my everyday role, and being an apprentice, working in a trade, a lot of it's problem solving. A lot of it as well on a personal level was being able to manage and deal with customers and situations where you might not normally be exposed to outside of a male-dominated environment, in such that it builds your resilience and your confidence to do and try new things. I'm not afraid to pick up a hammer and go change my own light bulb, for example. I have confidence to do things because I've got confidence to use power tools and equipment, and I'm confident talking to tradespeople because I know some of what I know in other trades. But it has just changed my life, and I see all those skills transition into my role now. A huge part of my job is problem solving. I'm dealing with this huge national, global social issue, essentially. where women have represented less than 2% of trades in the workforce for decades, and we haven't been able to progress. So to me, I'm every day solving this huge issue of what are we going to do? How are we going to be sustainable? Who do we need to talk to? How do we grow as an organisation? How do we change society, I guess, in Australia? How do we make people realise that jobs don't have a gender? Anyone can pick up the tools and anyone can be a tradesperson. And, you know, a part of the process and the stigma is probably something we've been talking about through this whole program is university versus vet pathways. And for me, you know, my apprenticeship pathway was the preferred pathway over university. I tried university, but clearly to me, apprenticeship pathway was the right way to go. And at the end of the day, I'm still, you know, equally on probably similar pay to someone who's gone through a university pathway and is working as a CEO as well. And, you know, just choosing that pathway hasn't stopped my career progression or the access to opportunities in my industry. So I guess that's a roundabout way of answering your question there, Saxon. But
no, it's wonderful because I think, you know, in some research that we recently just did with VERTO, we saw that 74% of young women do not consider an apprenticeship at all whilst going through school. And for me, I think like why I'm really compelled by what you're saying is that for, you know, the past 8 years with Year 13, we've really been advocating the benefits of what vocational education is. And to now meet you and hear you speak of it and your transition and how beneficial it's been, and to really be able to speak to someone who's so passionate about it, it really is concerning that only 74% of young women do consider an apprenticeship.
Oh, hugely. And in your report that you've just released, it also says that, you know, 18% of those women, their parents had suggested perhaps pursuing something, and 13% of those had teachers suggest that. That's such low numbers. I mean, the lack of information out there for parents and for career advisors and teachers to share that knowledge and advice about any pathway in the trade industry. I mean, there's more than 65 different job types. It's a huge industry and a growing industry. And, you know, it's the second biggest industry in Australia, second to health. So, I mean, it's just, why are we not educating young people about this?
I agree. And I think that it's, you know, we look at the current situation with the economy and the impact that the COVID is going to have on the economy and going into some form of recession. The only way that an economy and a country can grow is through infrastructure and through, you know, economical growth. And that comes down to a lot of trades and a lot of innovation and a lot of development. But, you know, we have a national skill shortage. And I think when you look at it, and we've got, I think I saw the other day that the youth unemployment rate is sitting at about 16% now, but we have a national skill shortage. How do we change the conversation? How do we change these societal pressures and the image of what trades can be perceived as, adverse, looking at someone like yourself who's an articulate, you know, vocational trained, a qualified light vehicle mechanic, and now a CEO? What's your idea of the future?
Oh, well, okay, I'm going to give you a lengthy answer here, but there's so many opportunities in trades that you were just touching on, and infrastructure post-COVID is going to be absolutely critical to economic recovery. And I was just recently, I believe it was earlier this week or last week, my days all merged together at the moment, but I was on the Clean Energy Council, and we were talking about the renewables industry in Australia and solar farms, wind farms, and the types of jobs that are involved in that industry sector. And, you know, it's a huge growth area for us here in Australia, and there's so many trade opportunities in electrical and mechanical engineering, all sorts of opportunities for people to be transitioning into jobs of this new growing industry. And this industry is relatively new. I mean, it's only been around for maybe a few years, maybe a little bit longer, but we still call it a new industry. And it's starting off on the back foot with not enough women in that industry. You know, for a new sector with a new opportunity, we would love to be kicking off with 50-50 men and women in the workforce. But those traditional norms that have been so long ingrained into the trade sector are carrying over into this new industry, as we have the same leaders bring the same ideas and the same governance structures into, these great opportunities. So for me, it's really important for us as an organisation that we are out there educating parents, career advisors, students about the pathway opportunities, but we're also educating those employers and those key decision makers about their organisation and about the opportunity of employing women. For us, employing women really means, and this has been well researched, increased productivity, safer workplaces, less worksite accidents and machinery breakdowns. The list goes on. There is a complete no-brainer here that we have more than 50% of our population being women. We should be accessing them to reduce that skills shortage. So, yeah, our organisation is really excited to be working with VERTO Year 13. We've got some great events that we've launched coming up, career education events to try and get the message out there about all of these opportunities, because post-COVID, you should see the pipeline of major projects that are going to be launched, and we don't have enough people to jump on them.
I'm so happy that you're here speaking about this, because everything you touched on, I couldn't agree more with. So a couple of questions which are coming through, and I could honestly have this conversation with you for hours and hours on end. So half an hour probably isn't enough, but we've got some questions coming through, so I want to kind of bring them in. So the first one is, are there any companies that actually help girls get apprenticeships?
Yes, we do. So we connect with women to help bring them into trades. We also partner with organisations like VERTO, who provide tailored career advice on how to get into an apprenticeship, and they also promote apprenticeship opportunities on their job platform and on the Year 13 job platform as well. So if you're looking at specific apprenticeships, jump on there and check them out. If you want the tailored advice, or you want to speak to a woman who's been in that particular trade you're looking at, then get in touch with us.
Absolutely. And to anyone listening, I couldn't endorse that more, to be able to reach out to, again, I know I sound like a bit of a broken record, but someone who's so passionate and really understands the principles and values of what VET is and what an apprenticeship really teaches you. I encourage you to reach out to Fiona and the Tradeswomen's Association. The next question we've got here is are there a lot of options for someone to do a trade and to be able to transition into entrepreneurial roles, using those skills in more of a technical way? I've got my opinion on that, but I would love to hear yours as well.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Gosh, that's a great question. I could go on about the amazing opportunities, but as soon as you do your apprenticeship and you complete your apprenticeship, the world's your oyster. You can run your own business and remain in trade. We see so many apprentices go into sole trading situations where they can just register for an ABN and start their own business. And, they may work in the residential or commercial sectors, but, is just so much opportunity and so much work out there that you can easily do that. And that, allows you to have flexible hours and flexible workplaces. But there's also the opportunity for you to, if you don't want to start your own business, transition into management or supervisor roles. So, for example, within the construction industry, you can go on to becoming a construction manager or a supervisor and work your way up in that industry into executive roles. You can also do that across any of the other industries, automotive, mining, engineering, etc. But if you're looking for that tailored career advice and information on how you can upskill your career, definitely encourage you to get in touch with us. We have so many amazing tradeswomen role models who started out as an apprentice, run their own businesses, have grown their own businesses, running these hugely successful companies. And, we also have so many women who've transitioned into incredible leadership positions within their organisations and other organisations. And women who are doing something similar, they're working in TAFE and they're delivering training and, working around different kind of industry, but same service. So, yeah, there's lots of opportunities.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that the idea of, I think one of the stigmas which is attached to trades, which we do a lot of work around, is that oh, well, once you're in a trade, you're in that industry forever. However, it's just simply not the case. And we often talk about the idea of cooks create CEOs, so kind of triple C. And with what you learn by cooking, you're problem solving, you're being resourceful, you're taking on criticism and feedback, you're understanding an audience. There's an emotional intelligence attached to it that you only get those skills through vocational education, and you get that through an apprenticeship. And funnily enough, I don't know if you're still listening, but it's the second plug I'm giving him for the day. But we actually have got one of our UX designers, who's head of our engagement on all our digital platforms, who was actually a carpenter for over 15 years. And when we asked him about his transition from being a carpenter into going into UX, he said, "Oh, it's pretty much the exact same job. I'm just taking the same process in looking at a problem and creating the solution and looking at the stock and ordering things and having it in a process." So it's like, it's the exact same. He's like, a lot of people don't really understand that. And I think that's, again, that value that you really derive from an apprenticeship and from vocational education.
And to build on that, Saxon, too, we have a lot of women who come into apprenticeships who are towards the end of their career life. So, for example, the oldest female apprentice that I've met and supported into a role transition is 54, and she went into a carpentry apprenticeship after working in a white-collar role. So there's so many amazing stories like that where you can transition at any point in your life into an apprenticeship opportunity. The costs are borne by the employer for you to go back into training when you're doing the apprenticeship work and work-study balance. And, there's just so many great employers out there who are really willing to support women, no matter what stage of their career, to get into the industry as long as they're passionate and it's something that they really want to do. So, yeah.
Now, I love it. I couldn't agree more. Do you have any suggestions for any mature age individuals who are wanting to be able to change a career and be able to go into an apprenticeship or traineeship?
Of course. So in our sector, it's a little bit backwards. Anyone over 21 is classed as a mature age worker. So if you are over 21 and you want to get into the trade industry, it means you will receive a slightly higher pay, which is great. But yes, there are a lot of employers out there who are really supportive of getting the right people for the right job, and age is no barrier, and that's something that we can support. So we're willing to work with you to help you get into those job opportunities, and that's something we promote, and we promote it working with our partners like VERTO, who also work with a number of employers across the state of New South Wales, and we're a national organisation as well, so there are absolutely opportunities for mature age workers. Please get in touch with us if you're willing to enter the industry.
Fiona, I have truly appreciated your time this evening, and VERTO for making the introduction and having you speak. You're incredibly compelling, and this has been a wonderful conversation, and something which I hope everyone in the audience has been able to really take some value from, because I know I have. So to wrap up, we've got 2 minutes left. What would be your last piece of budding advice to any young woman, young man, elder person, anyone out there who's really looking at the next step and looking at what they're wanting to do with their lives? And what would be your words of wisdom to bestow on us?
Yeah, well, I encourage all of you to really think, live and breathe that jobs don't have a gender, and that's something we could all play a role in at home, just activities we do around the house, the way we educate and raise our children, getting boys to take the trash out, girls to do the dishes. We create gender around jobs. And, removing that bias is just understanding that we do that and, owning up to it and accepting it. And, if you want to make a change and you want to help us in our big, mission to change society's views around trades and tradeswomen and men working in female-dominated roles as well, is to change it at home and change it in your everyday life. And, let's all work together to ungender jobs.
I love it. I love it a lot. Again, Fiona McDonald, thank you so much. So I'll give you the full title. So Fiona McDonald, the CEO of Tradeswomen Australia, thank you so much for being here this evening. I share my thanks with VERTO for being able to put you up here to be able to share this and to be able to go over that, some of those startling statistics from the report we've just released together. So thank you so much for participating in our future of work. I seriously look forward to speaking with you soon, and thank you once again.
Thanks, Max, and thanks everyone for watching. Have a good night.
Take care.
Bye.